Welcome to Sleepless Minds, where thoughts never rest. Everyone sees. Few truly look. Even fewer understand. Which one are you? Like and subscribe, or always wonder what you've missed. The role of emotional music in memory recall. The key finding of this research is that listening to emotional music while recalling memories or stories can influence the emotional tone of the memory itself. The study demonstrated that when participants listened to music that evoked specific emotions, happy, sad, etc., while recalling neutral stories, the participants infused those emotions into the stories. Essentially, the emotional cues from the music shaped how the stories were remembered, altering the emotional undertones of otherwise neutral memories. For example, participants recalling a neutral story while listening to a sad piece of music might describe the events of the story as more sorrowful or melancholic. Conversely, when recalling the same neutral story with happy or upbeat music in the background, they might perceive the events in a more positive light. The connection between music and emotion. Music is a powerful emotional trigger. It can activate the brain's limbic system, which is responsible for emotional responses. When we listen to music, our emotional responses to it can be profound and immediate, even before the music itself is fully processed. This emotional connection could then color our memories, causing us to remember events in a way that aligns with the emotional content of the music. This suggests that music might not just be a background stimulus, but an active force in how we reconstruct our memories, especially when those memories are related to emotional experiences. Memory construction, active and dynamic. This finding ties into broader research on the nature of memory itself. Memory is not a perfect recording of past events, but a reconstructive process. Each time we recall something, our brains don't just replay the exact event, rather, they rebuild it, influenced by various factors such as context, emotional state, or external stimuli, like music. In this study, music was shown to be a factor that could alter or rewrite parts of a memory. The music provided an emotional context that worked its way into the memory reconstruction process, blending the emotional mood of the music with the recollection of neutral events. Implications for emotional regulation and therapy. This research has important implications for emotional regulation, therapy, and how we can potentially use music as a tool for emotional healing or recall. For example, therapeutic settings. In therapies where clients are encouraged to recall past experiences or traumas, therapists might be able to use specific types of music to help shape how clients perceive and process these memories. Depending on the therapeutic goal, whether it's reframing a traumatic memory or reinforcing positive memories, music could be a strategic tool. Emotional regulation. For people struggling with overwhelming emotions or difficult memories, such as those with PTSD, music could potentially be used to help shift the emotional tone of those memories, making them easier to handle. Memory bias and distortion. Another takeaway from the study is that the emotional influence of music on memory recall also raises questions about the accuracy and reliability of memories. If our recollection of events is so easily shaped by external factors, like the music we listen to, it underscores the potential for memory distortions. This can be especially important in situations like legal or eyewitness testimony, where the accuracy of memories is crucial. If individuals are influenced by their emotional responses to music or other stimuli, their recollections may not always be entirely objective or factual. Neuroscientific insights. From a neuroscientific perspective, the research aligns with what we know about the brain's processing of music and emotions. The amygdala, which is involved in emotional processing, and the hippocampus, involved in memory formation, both play significant roles when we listen to music. Music may stimulate these regions, particularly when it has emotional content, and this stimulation could influence how memories are formed or recalled. Potential applications. Beyond therapeutic settings, this research could have other applications. Education. Music could be incorporated into learning environments to help students better recall information by associating the content with specific emotional tones. Advertising and branding. Music has long been used in marketing to create emotional connections to products. This research suggests that music might also influence how consumers remember and perceive products, especially in emotionally charged advertisements. Conclusion. In summary, the study from the Georgia Institute of Technology demonstrates that music is far more than just a background element in our lives. It actively shapes our emotional experiences and how we recall memories. The emotional tone of the music infuses itself into our memory recall, altering how we remember neutral or even past events. This finding has broad implications for therapeutic practices, memory research, and emotional regulation, suggesting that the power of music can be harnessed in various settings to influence emotional well-being and memory processing. Holistic psychology is an emerging field within mental health that seeks to integrate various dimensions of human experience: mental, physical, emotional, relational, social, and spiritual into a comprehensive understanding of well-being. Rather than focusing exclusively on the psychological or mental aspects of a person, this approach takes into account the interconnectedness of all facets of a person's life, recognizing that mental health is not isolated but influenced by multiple dimensions. Let's take a deeper look at the concept of holistic psychology, its principles, applications, and the current trends that are gaining attention in this field. Core principles of holistic psychology. At the heart of holistic psychology is the belief that an individual's well-being is a product of the interaction between several key domains: mental, cognitive processes such as thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, and patterns of thinking; physical, the body's health and physical conditions, including sleep, diet, exercise, and overall bodily well-being; emotional, the regulation and processing of emotions, including how people understand and express their feelings; relational, the impact of interpersonal relationships, family dynamics, and social connections on mental health; social, the broader societal influences, including cultural norms, societal pressures, and the person's place within a community; spiritual, spirituality or a sense of purpose, which may not always be religious, but can include a deeper connection to self, nature, or a higher power. This framework holds that these components do not exist in isolation. Rather, they are constantly interacting with and influencing each other. For instance, chronic physical illness can lead to emotional distress, which in turn may affect relationships, which could then have social repercussions. Similarly, spiritual beliefs, or a lack of connection to a larger sense of purpose, can influence how people manage stress and emotions. Holistic psychology versus traditional psychology. Traditional psychology often tends to focus on diagnosing and treating mental disorders primarily through cognitive or behavioral interventions, with an emphasis on the mind and emotions. For example, traditional approaches such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, address how thoughts and beliefs affect emotions and behaviors. Holistic psychology, on the other hand, expands this focus to consider the entire person, viewing mental health as an equilibrium of mind, body, and spirit. It doesn't just focus on alleviating symptoms, but looks at the root causes that may stem from imbalances or disconnections in various life areas. Key differences. Traditional psychology tends to address individual symptoms of mental illness in isolation. For example, depression, anxiety, PTSD. Holistic psychology focuses on underlying causes such as emotional neglect, physical illness, or social isolation, and works to heal the whole person by addressing these interconnected domains. Applications of holistic psychology. Holistic psychology can be applied in numerous therapeutic settings, including counseling, psychotherapy, coaching, and wellness practices. The key goal is to restore balance and encourage wellness across all aspects of life. Some common therapeutic techniques within holistic psychology include mind-body techniques, mindfulness, and meditation. These practices focus on bringing awareness to the present moment, cultivating acceptance, and reducing stress. Through mindful awareness, individuals can develop emotional regulation and reduce cognitive patterns that contribute to mental distress. Yoga and breathwork. These practices emphasize the connection between mind and body. Yoga has been shown to improve mental health by reducing stress, improving mood, and increasing physical well-being. Somatic therapy focuses on the body's sensations as a means of understanding and addressing emotional trauma or stored stress in the body. This approach works on the belief that the body holds onto emotional experiences, and healing can occur through body-centered interventions. Emotional integration. Emotion-focused therapy, EFT. This approach helps individuals identify and process emotions in a healthy way, facilitating emotional expression and regulation. Expressive arts therapies involve creative processes like art, music, dance, and writing as tools for emotional expression and healing. Social and relational approaches, family and couples therapy. Holistic psychology may include the examination of family dynamics and relationship patterns as key influences on mental health. Therapy may involve helping individuals resolve conflicts, improve communication, and rebuild relationships. Community and social support. Recognizing that isolation can contribute to mental health issues, a holistic approach often involves fostering a sense of community and encouraging people to seek supportive relationships or groups. Spirituality and purpose. Spiritual counseling. Even for those who are not religious, exploring a person's spiritual life or sense of purpose is a key part of holistic therapy. This can include helping people find meaning in their life, address existential concerns, and promote a sense of connectedness with a larger whole. Existential therapy explores deeper questions related to life, death, freedom, and meaning, helping individuals find purpose even in difficult circumstances. Scientific support and popularity. Research supporting holistic psychology is emerging, particularly in areas where mind-body connections are studied. For example, psychoneuroimmunology, PNI. This field studies how psychological factors, like stress and emotions, affect the immune system and physical health. It highlights how physical health and mental well-being are inextricably linked. The impact of social support. Studies have shown that strong relationships and community connections improve mental health outcomes, lower the risk of chronic illness, and promote longer life expectancy. Neuroscience of meditation. Growing research supports the neurological benefits of practices like mindfulness and meditation, showing that these practices can reshape the brain, improve emotional regulation, and reduce stress. This growing body of evidence supports the holistic model's emphasis on integrating multiple aspects of life in the treatment and prevention of mental health issues. Holistic psychology in the context of global trends. The increasing interest in holistic psychology can be seen as part of a broader shift in mental health care. Over the past few decades, there has been a growing recognition that mental health cannot be understood or treated in isolation, and that a one-size-fits-all approach is insufficient. Some key trends contributing to the rise of holistic psychology include the mental health crisis. As mental health issues become more prevalent, traditional methods of treatment alone often fall short. Holistic approaches offer an opportunity to explore and treat underlying causes, thus offering a more well-rounded approach to healing. Self-care movement. As self-care practices gain popularity, people are increasingly looking for ways to enhance their overall well-being. Holistic psychology fits into this movement by offering a framework that emphasizes mind-body-spirit balance. Integrative medicine. The rise of integrative medicine, which combines conventional medical treatments with alternative therapies, like acupuncture, massage, and herbal remedies, mirrors the principles of holistic psychology. Challenges and criticisms. While holistic psychology has much to offer, it also faces challenges. One of the main criticisms is the lack of clear scientific validation for some of its methods. Critics argue that holistic approaches can sometimes be too vague or lacking in empirical support, especially in the case of spiritual or alternative practices. However, as more research emerges, this may change, and the scientific basis for holistic interventions will become stronger. Moreover, holistic approaches can sometimes require longer-term commitment and lifestyle changes, which may not appeal to everyone. Not all individuals may be ready or able to invest in such an extensive approach. Conclusion: holistic psychology is an evolving and comprehensive approach to mental health that recognizes the intricate connections between different aspects of human life. By integrating mental, physical, emotional, relational, social, and spiritual factors, holistic psychology aims to create a more integrated and personalized model of well-being. As more research and evidence accumulate in support of this approach, holistic psychology may continue to grow in popularity and influence, offering a richer, more nuanced understanding of human mental health. The identification of specific genetic factors involved in heroin addiction represents a significant breakthrough in the field of addiction research. Heroin addiction, like many other substance use disorders, SUDs, has long been recognized as a complex condition involving a combination of genetic, environmental, psychological, and social factors. However, recent genetic studies have provided more detailed insights into the underlying biological mechanisms that contribute to addiction. The discovery of a specific gene as a key driver in heroin addiction opens new avenues for targeted treatments, improving our understanding of the genetic factors contributing to substance use disorders, SUDs. Let's explore this breakthrough in detail, from the genetic mechanisms involved in addiction to the potential applications for personalized treatments. Heroin addiction and its complexity. Heroin addiction is a chronic, relapsing condition characterized by compulsive drug-seeking behavior and an inability to control use despite harmful consequences. It is caused by a combination of biological, environmental, and social factors. The use of heroin triggers the release of large amounts of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, leading to intense feelings of euphoria. Over time, the brain becomes dependent on the drug to maintain this pleasurable state, leading to addiction. While environmental factors such as childhood trauma, peer influence, and social context contribute to the risk of addiction, genetic factors play a crucial role in determining an individual's susceptibility to addiction. Twin studies, family studies, and research on genetic variations have suggested that heredity contributes significantly to the risk of developing substance use disorders, including heroin addiction. The role of genetics in heroin addiction. The recent genetic research has uncovered the role of a specific gene in heroin addiction. While previous studies have identified various genes that influence susceptibility to addiction, the discovery of this particular gene offers more concrete evidence of the biological mechanisms at play. A. The gene identified. Researchers have pinpointed a genetic variant in a gene that plays a key role in how the brain processes and responds to addictive substances, particularly heroin. This gene is involved in the dopamine signaling system, which regulates the brain's reward pathways. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is heavily involved in the brain's reward system and addiction processes. The identified gene variant seems to affect the way the brain's reward circuitry reacts to heroin use. Individuals who carry this variant may experience a heightened response to heroin's pleasurable effects, making them more likely to develop an addiction. Conversely, individuals who do not carry this genetic variant may have a lower risk of addiction, as they may not experience the same level of reinforcement or euphoria from heroin use. Other genetic factors involved. While the discovery of this one gene is crucial, it is important to note that addiction is likely influenced by multiple genes working together, rather than just one gene. Studies on polygenic risk scores have suggested that many small genetic variations in multiple genes can collectively influence addiction risk. These genes are involved in various processes such as neurotransmitter systems, dopamine, serotonin, glutamate, brain structure and function, stress response, and impulse control. In addition to the dopamine system, genes that affect other neurotransmitter systems, like GABA, glutamate, and serotonin, may also contribute to heroin addiction by altering the way the brain regulates mood, arousal, and reward-seeking behaviors. Implications for understanding the biology of addiction. The identification of this specific gene offers deeper insight into how heroin and other addictive substances interact with the brain at the molecular level. Some key implications of this discovery include better understanding of reward processing. By focusing on genes involved in the brain's reward system, researchers can better understand how drugs like heroin hijack the brain's natural processes. Addiction is often described as a reward pathway dysfunction, where the brain becomes conditioned to expect rewards from drug use. This gene discovery provides valuable information about how certain genetic variants make individuals more sensitive to these addictive behaviors. Understanding vulnerability to addiction. The genetic research offers a clearer picture of why some individuals are more susceptible to addiction than others. While social and environmental factors are important, These genetic findings show that some people may have a biological predisposition to addiction due to how their brains are wired to respond to addictive substances. Gene-environment interactions. It is essential to understand that genetics alone cannot explain addiction. Environmental factors such as exposure to trauma, stress, peer influence, or early drug use also play a role. This research emphasizes the importance of studying gene-environment interaction. Show genetic vulnerabilities can be triggered or moderated by environmental experiences. For instance, someone with the genetic variant that heightens the reward response to heroin may be more likely to develop an addiction if they are exposed to stress or peer pressure. Implications for treatment. Targeted and personalized therapies. One of the most exciting potential outcomes of this research is its impact on personalized medicine in the treatment of addiction. By understanding the genetic factors that contribute to heroin addiction, scientists and clinicians can develop more effective, targeted treatments based on an individual's genetic profile. Here are a few possibilities. Pharmacogenetics. Pharmacogenetics is the study of how an individual's genetic makeup influences their response to drugs. In the case of heroin addiction, genetic testing could help identify individuals who are more likely to benefit from specific medications, such as opioid agonists, for example methadone, buprenorphine, or opioid antagonists, for example naltrexone. These medications can help manage cravings, reduce withdrawal symptoms, and prevent relapse. For instance, individuals with the identified genetic variant might respond better to a certain type of medication that targets the brain's reward system more effectively. Conversely, those without the variant may require a different treatment approach. Targeting genetic pathways. As our understanding of the genetics behind addiction deepens, researchers may be able to develop therapies that specifically target the molecular pathways involved in heroin addiction. For example, drugs that modify how the dopamine system functions or that regulate the reward pathways may be developed to help prevent or treat addiction. This could lead to genetic-based treatments that go beyond traditional behavioral therapies. Early detection and prevention. Genetic testing could be used to identify individuals who are at high genetic risk for addiction. Early identification of individuals with a higher risk of developing heroin addiction could lead to preventive measures, such as targeted counseling, stress reduction interventions, or lifestyle changes to help reduce the likelihood of addiction before it develops. Reducing relapse rates. Relapse is a common challenge in addiction treatment. With personalized genetic insights, clinicians could provide more effective relapse prevention strategies tailored to an individual's genetic vulnerabilities. For instance, individuals who carry specific genetic markers might be more prone to relapse in certain environments or when exposed to specific stressors, and treatment plans could be adjusted accordingly. Ethical considerations. While the genetic research into addiction offers great promise, it also raises important ethical considerations. Privacy and confidentiality. Genetic testing for addiction susceptibility raises questions about how genetic information will be used and who will have access to it. Safeguards need to be in place to protect individuals from discrimination or stigmatization based on their genetic predispositions. Determinism versus free will. A focus on genetic risk may lead to a sense of fatalism, where individuals feel that addiction is solely determined by their genes and cannot be changed. It's important to continue emphasizing the role of environment and personal agency in addiction treatment. Informed consent. If genetic testing becomes a routine part of addiction treatment, it's crucial that patients understand what the results mean and how they might impact their treatment options. Conclusion. The discovery of a specific gene as a key driver of heroin addiction marks an exciting step forward in addiction research. By identifying genetic factors that make individuals more susceptible to addiction, researchers can gain a better understanding of the biology of addiction and develop targeted, personalized treatments. This approach moves beyond traditional one-size-fits-all therapies, offering more effective interventions that are tailored to an individual's unique genetic makeup.